მოგესალმებით, ეთერშია გადაცემა კვირის აქცენტი. მე თემოინას არიძე ვარ. დღევანდელ გადაცემაში სტუმრად ლიეტუველი ევროპარლამენტარი ევროპის სახალხო პარტიის წევრი რასა იუკნევიჩიანე გვყავს. Mrs. Rasa, thank you for being our guest.
Oh,
You're one of the Europarlamentarian who knows Georgian context upside down, I would say, and one who are really actively supporting Georgia's EU integration. And I wanna thank you for that as well. Um, in
invite.
Yep. In recent years, months, and I would say even weeks, events that occur in Georgia are really disturbing. And I wanted to ask, what does Georgia, as a candidate country, and the Georgian Dreams government with its anti-Western rhetoric and actions looks like from European Union's perspective?
Looks very badly. And this is not the first time, of course. Now is situation even deteriorating. You mentioned that I am one of those who are supporting and know situation, but not me alone. Georgia is still very high on our agenda, despite that, of course, many other issues related with security, defense, European agenda is full of all very important topics like the war against Ukraine, like the United States relationship. But myself and my colleagues, by the way, from different political groups, those who have responsibility as rapporteurs, myself a standing rapporteur, but also shadow rapporteurs in another groups, from main political pro-European political groups, they have the same understanding as me. So 7 of us, we visited Georgia in December when just all those protests started. Yes, we are following situation, and now we are preparing the report on Georgia. It not only for Georgia we are doing such reports, but also for all countries, candidate countries, on the progress for integration to European Union. So this time, unfortunately, but this report is not positive because it's no progress. It's like vice versa. It's regression. It's backwards, backslidings going on in terms of as candidates, as country which has candidate status of candidate. That is regrettable and that is really upsetting. This is what I am so much concerned. And I think that sooner or later, other institutions like European Council and European Commission will be more active, like we in European Parliament are active to evaluate the situation and to have real picture, not the picture which was since many years the Georgia Dream, they were painting different view when they were coming to Brussels and another view or practical steps, reality inside Georgia. So it didn't happen yesterday. It didn't happen with those elections. But of course, after those elections, the masks are dropped down. And now many people see that it's not about European integration, what's going on in Georgia, but the reality is that they are more and more look like a Kremlin-like or Putin-like regime. They are using the same instruments, the same rhetoric, the same politics, which is not compatible with membership in the European Union.
I understand. Obviously, with the context of the ongoing war following Russia's full-scale invasion in Ukraine, Georgia cannot be like in the epicenter of the EU agenda. However, Georgia is also an important partner for the European Union. Georgian citizens now are really looking at the EU with a great hope that it will take real steps that will ensure that Georgian Dream Party fulfills its ongoing protest demands and calls new elections. What do you think, apart from political statements made by West, which are certainly important, what would be the realistic expectations for Georgians? Like, what can we really expect? What steps or decisions coming from the European Union and its institutions that can make real changes in Georgia?
You know, all power for changes are in the hands of the people, of Georgian people. Nobody, be it European Union or the United States or other countries, member states in the European Union, they will not able to do what Georgians themselves can do. So I know that elections were rigged, and we don't recognize last election to Georgian parliament, but nevertheless, very many people voted for Georgia Dream. So, and they voted even those who are pro-European. So for me, it was really a big question mark. How can you be pro-European, expect from European Union and other member states support for Georgia, but on the other hand, you are voting for Georgia Dream. They are doing opposite steps. What happened before election, those pro-Russian laws inside the country, and all those mistakes, not mistakes, but it was not only one message from European Union that is not compatible, for example, election campaigns or election themselves. It's one of the requirements for candidate country to fulfill criteria of democracy if you want to become member of European Union. So those steps last decade were like a backslide from European Union membership. So this is, for me, it's not understandable. How can you vote for Georgia Dream and on the other hand want to become member of European Union? So look, this is my answer to your question. It's about people themselves. Yeah. Yes, I also am criticizing European Commission and member states that they are not enough doing. We proposed in European Parliament, and it's very clear what they have to do, especially on sanctions. Some countries, by the way, already started to realize this, not only countries like I am from, Baltic countries, but also Germany. We expect from new government in Germany that they will be more strong messages will send. Also, France did something. In the United States, we expect that Congress will make their decision on very important, send very important message to Georgia Dream. But on the other hand, you know, what is the main problem? The main problem is, which I recognized long time ago, that Bidzina Ivanishvili, who is the factor ruling this country, despite that he is behind the scenes, he never ever wanted Georgia to become member of European Union. Why I am saying so? Because it's incompatible with his interests. His interests are very different from democracy, from normal. He just wants to have power, to keep this country as his own country, and this is not about European Union. So he understands that if he will be forced, or it will be necessary to follow democratic rules as it is in the European Union, so it will be not about his capability, his possibility to have his own political party, a business, which is, I mean, all environment, political environment in his hand. So, you know, yes, again, answering to a question, I have to say that we will do our best to support European aspirations of Georgian people. If you remember, Ursula von der Leyen, when Georgia was granted for candidacy status, with candidacy status, it was very clear message. That is for the people. It's not because Georgian Dream fulfilled criteria. No, not at all. They are not fulfilled. But that was like, you know, little bit in front of everything, just to send clear message to Georgian people that we, European Union, we are together with you. But Georgia Dream used this, manipulated with this candidacy status before election, and some people were confused because of that.
On a matter said, do you see any room left for the dialogue or the discussion with the Georgian Dream government for them to stop the current politics that they're doing here in Georgia?
To ask the same question is the same like you will ask me if Putin is able to change his politics and become not so aggressive and start the war. I don't believe that Georgia Dream, especially Bezina Ivanishvili, will allow Georgia Dream because he has ownership on Georgia Dream, to allow to change their politics. I don't see any signs. Again and again, they have very brutal attacks against ambassadors, not only us politicians, but ambassadors from European Union. This hatred, this language, everything. I don't think, but what we need, what kind of dialogue we need from European Union, European Commission, and maybe member states. We need dialogue to hold new election. The only way to talk with this not recognized government and parliament is to start dialogue on new election. Otherwise, this country will be more and more will go into Russian Kremlin-style regime, which will be not helpful for Georgia or neighborhood or the region, and also all of us. So this is the only way to speak and to talk and to have dialogue.
The matter that the Georgian Dream is not planning to give up power just like that, I think it's clear. And also in Georgia, most of the people, that they are not heard by the government. Do you think the EU needs to offer Georgian Dream some kind of guarantees in exchange for holding new elections? Or is there any discussion in the EU about this? Like, what is the scenario that you think will work in that case? Because we see that Georgian Dream doesn't listen to anyone, but there might be still some, I don't know, ties with the European partners that maybe there are some left who they will listen. How do you see this?
I think they can listen only their own people. Until they will feel that some big part of society, maybe not majority, of course, but some part of society, they still are or neutral, or they don't care, or support even Georgia Dream, or they live in this very toxic disinformation environment. Environment of manipulations, environment of disinformation, like many Russians live in their own country. So that will be very difficult to provide with some proposals from our side. So again, I just can say that if Georgian people will not be able to fight for European future with the very strong messages, also you need strong alternative. So when I am talking with the people in the streets or politicians or others, I always say them, and I will be very open with you today, that until they will not be united enough, until they will not send very clear message to Georgia Dream and European Union institutions that they are strong enough to defend European path, so that will be very difficult to do something. So I really am proud of Georgian people, those who are more than 100 days, and now they're approaching even more cold winter, staying with Georgian and European Union flags in the streets and asking. Their demands were very clear: new election, European, back to an European path, release political prisoners. So those are very important. But Georgia Dream, I think, cares only their Georgian people, nothing more. So, and of course, from our side, we have to do more, especially as mentioned already on sanctions, on showing very clear message that it will be no way back. It will be no business as usual. We will not live with those manipulations as we lived, I mean, as European Union institutions before, when this double standards were their politics. One message in Brussels and very concrete and very different decisions inside Georgia. So I think many understand now this, and still I hope that Georgian people deserved better life, and I think that many of them, they don't want to be back to Russian influence as they lived centuries ago, since centuries, like we Lithuanians.
In Georgia, unfortunately, we are really familiar with the Russian propaganda, which been going on for years now. But some cities, like also the citizens of Georgia, they are really vulnerable in that sense. Even some citizens are still reluctant to recognize the dangers that the Georgian Dream's decisions pose for the country. And I wanted to ask, how do you see the future for Georgia if the Georgian Dream stays in power with the repressive politics like this? Will that pose any type of threat, let's say, to EU with its strategic plans? Like, what will be on the stake for the European Union if Georgia continues with the politics that we're having today?
Myself, looking from our European Union perspective to the region, Georgia, it is not only about Georgia. It is about the whole region, which is Black Sea region, very important one. And Georgia as a key player in that region. So that's why Moscow, Kremlin, they are so much engaged to keep this regime as a puppet, as a regime which is very close to Kremlin understanding to control this. For them, it's most important not to allow Georgia to become de facto part of the West, part of the European Union family. I don't say about NATO, unfortunately. Now nobody speaks about Georgian membership in NATO, which was very some years ago. So I am looking to this in more comprehensive way. It depends very much what's going on in Ukraine. Like for us, Baltic countries, we understand that front line goes there. And if Russia will succeed to fulfill their demands, their interests, their strategy to build new empire, a stronger empire, to defeat Ukraine, to take Moldova, to take Georgia, and to keep this interest as their interest zone. So this is what is this fight about. So it depends very much on outcome of the war. So that's why now maybe a few days only, when we little bit breathing with more hope in global politics, when Ukraine and the United States are maybe became closer than it was a few weeks ago. I am telling this, saying that it's very much related in one connection. All those events they are going on. So that's why your fight is so important, not to allow Kremlin, Putin, and this bloody regime in Kremlin to take over, to be even more aggressive. If Georgia will be taken out of European way of life or out of European path, so that will be a huge victory of this empire. You lived centuries before that. So this is how I see situation. And that's why, for me, as a Lithuanian, as a person who was born in Soviet Union, in occupied by Soviet Union Lithuania, and our fight was not easy to become independent and to become members. So for me, it's very well understandable that is our common fight to not to leave countries I mentioned already as part of aggressive colonial imperialistic Russian Empire. This is colonial war they are fighting. I mean, and you are trying not to escape from the same influence you lived together with other nations like you. So it's really important fight. I just want to wish in Washington, D.C. to understand this, how important it is, and to help countries or nations like Georgia and other nations to become real, true democracies. It's our interest.
Thank you. And my last question will be about the local elections. Recently, civil society is actively criticizing oppositions because they think that the opposition parties are not doing enough to advocate the crisis. And now there is a hot topic going on in Georgia, whether opposition parties should participate in local elections or not. I wanted to ask, like, if there will be a case that in the local elections, the opposition parties will participate. For some people, they say that it will mean giving legitimacy to the Georgian Dream government, and how this action could be seen from the European Union perspective if the opposition parties will participate in local elections without new elections of the parliament.
Of course, you yourself, people of Georgia and the opposition parties, they will decide, not us. But it's not only about not recognized parliamentary election or recognition of Georgia Dream or not, but it's about fair and free election. So if election were rigged and violated all those democratic rules before, and we don't recognize them, so I don't see any reason why Georgia will not do the same with the local election. So it's no change, no change. No different. It's like I understand now commissions will be the same. That will be administrative resources will be used to help Georgia Dream. Opposition parties, if they will not be even allowed to campaign in normal way in media everywhere, so it will be no election. It's like a trap, to go to participate in election where if they will be held in the same way as parliamentary election were held, with the same structures, with the same understanding, with the same undemocratic approach. It will be a parody. It will be just manipulation, that election. So the same as Lukashenko in Belarus. They have election formally, but those elections are just fiction of election. So if those elections will be held the same way, so I don't know why we have to call them, to name them as to title them as elections, not election at all.
I understand. Thank you. ეს გახდათ ჩემი ბოლო კითხვა ქალბატონ რასასთან. ჩვენი გადაცემა დასასრულს მივახლოვდა. შეგახსენებთ, რომ საუბრობდით ლიტველ ევროპარლამენტარ რასა იუკნევიჩიანესთან ერთად. Thank you, Mrs. Rasa. Thank you for your time. It was a pleasure talking with you and wish you good luck.
Good luck. Thank you.